Alright, is it recording? It's recording. I think it's recording. We're doing the things, all the things. So, this is going to be a bit of just talking about my day, some rambling, and I know everybody loves to look at the load board, so I don't really need to look at the load board because I don't need any loads. I got lucky, and the second half of this week, I didn't have any load cancellations, so everything is kind of... Since I made that last video where I was predicting how much money I would be making for this 2-week period that I'm out on the road, that video is 100% accurate because nothing changed after that video. But there were a whole lot of things that did change before that, but yeah, that's basically it. I'll right here at the top of the screen, this is my current load. It's Henderson, Kentucky to Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was roughly a 160-mile deadhead, and I think it's around 520 paid miles, and it pays $1,260 with a $125 fuel surcharge. I'm not going to bother switching over to the spreadsheet. I'll just tell you real quick. I make $944 on this load, and it is 568 miles. My rate per mile is $1.66, but that's only on the loaded miles, not including the empty miles. $1.66. That is not very good. I normally would not pick this load up, but it's getting me to my house, and I kind of need to get home. My APU is still broken. My APU has not been functional for, I don't know how long, a month and a half. But let me pause this real quick and let me see what the last video I uploaded was. Alright, and we're recording again. So, wow. I've tried to make several videos. I thought I uploaded one, but I didn't, apparently. It looks like the last video I uploaded was the radiator hose. So, I made that video in, I believe, Prescott, Arizona. At the... Not Prescott, Arizona, sorry. Prescott, Arkansas. At the TA there. So after that, I, continued on with the load that was delivering in Scottsville, Kentucky. I had plenty of time on that load, so after I made that video, I basically just drove straight there. I stopped in West Memphis, Arkansas, and filled up with fuel and got some barbecue. Oh my goodness! Let me break it out here for you. Let me show you the barbecue. I've eaten probably 3 meals to 4 meals off this barbecue, and that's how much is still left. I paid $9. She was about to close, and she put all the rest of the barbecue that was left in the hot plate, hot tray, whatever you want to call it. She just filled this thing up. And she's like, man, this is going to be expensive. And I was like, what do you mean expensive? How expensive is this going to be? She says, well, it's $9 a scoop. And I was like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. She's like, no, I'm not going to do you like that. She's like, $9. So she just charged me $9 for that whole thing. I've been eating on that for like 2 days, 3 days. I still got another meal or two left in there. It is pretty decent barbecue. It's not like the best barbecue I've ever had or anything, but for Petro, like, it's pretty solid barbecue. But yeah, I got that. It was it rained basically from Little Rock, Arkansas to West Memphis, Arkansas. It was really heavy rain, and there were people driving really stupid. There was a cluster of trucks that was probably a mile long cluster of trucks where they were all driving with their four-ways on, going like 20 miles an hour. And this wasn't like blinding rain. This was just fairly heavy rain. And they were blocking both sides of the road. So I'm in the left lane trying to get around these sons of bitches. And it took me probably 30 minutes to get around them. And I finally made it around them, and then the road cleared up once I made it around that pack of trucks. But it's monkey see, monkey do. They're like fucking lemmings. But they just got out there and caused this huge congestion in the road. This pack of trucks did, and made it around them, and then started making good time. Traffic was really, really congested all the way to Memphis. Once I got on the other side of Memphis, not only was it late at night, but I was on the other side of Memphis, and traffic lightened up on I-40 on the other side of Memphis. But I made it to Dollar General, and I got there really early. I got there almost a day early for my delivery appointment, and so I stopped at a Pilot about 30 to 40 miles away from Dollar General because it said unknown for overnight parking at Dollar General, and there's nowhere to park in Scottsville, Kentucky. So I didn't want to risk getting there and not having anywhere to park for a full day. So I just stopped at the Pilot because I had plenty of hours to get there and then get to my next appointment. I had basically a day in between my next pickup as well. So I had almost had like 2 days off. But I got to Dollar General about an hour. I got there at 7 p.m. for an 8 p.m. appointment. They weren't ready to unload me. So they have overnight parking there. They have a huge section for people to park. So they told me to park there. They took down my phone number. They called me at like 4 minutes before my appointment. And they had me come back up to the guard shack, and they gave me a handwritten map. Now, they didn't handwrite it out just for me. Somebody had hand wrote this map, and then they made a bunch of copies of it. But they have another warehouse on the opposite side of town, and they wanted me to go there instead. Now, I'll come back to that whole them having you deliver to different locations here in a second. But I went over there, and they got me a dock pretty quick and got me unloaded pretty quick, and I got out of there pretty quick. The Western Express driver that arrived right before me, they told him that he was late for his appointment, and he was going to be there for a long time waiting for an opening to get unloaded. He didn't actually wait a long time. They put him in a dock they put him in the dock that I pulled out of after I got unloaded, and it only took them like 30 minutes to unload me. So he wasn't there for very long. Like 30 or 40 minutes is all he waited. And he was already backing into the dock while I was closing my doors and taking pictures of the bills of lading and all that stuff. Because whenever they cleared me from the dock, I always pull out of the dock. Whenever there's anybody waiting on the dock, I'll pull out of it and pull over to an area out of the way, and that's where I close my doors, slide my tandems, do my paperwork, log all my crap so that I'm not blocking a door. But while I was doing all that crap, he basically got docked. But I left there, and then I drove over to where I'm at right now, which is Dana Corporation in Henderson, Kentucky. It's 160 miles away, if I remember correctly. And I'm real early for this appointment. I got here at like midnight Friday night, or Thursday night, Friday morning, like 12 a.m. Friday morning. And my appointment's not until 8 p.m. Friday night to pick up this load. But I went ahead and checked in with them and asked them, hey, it shows on here that you guys have parking. He said, yeah, just anywhere up and down this road. Just along the street here. And I asked if they give me, work me in. And he called somebody over the radio and checked. They said no, they couldn't get to me. He said I could check back in at 6 a.m. So I went to bed, woke up whenever I woke up at like 11 a.m., slowly got up and out and around, and I walked over there about noon. It's 12:28 right now. Noon 28. So about 30 minutes ago, I went over there and checked in with them, and they called them up again, and my load is still not ready. They said that if you want, we can take down your phone number and call you when it's ready. And I was like, that'd be perfect. So I gave them my number, and so if it's ready before 8 p.m., they'll give me a call. And I will get back to the additional stops. Them having you deliver somewhere different. I just got a reply from my driver manager. So, after hours and weekend driver managers at USA Truck are just absolutely worthless. I asked well, I didn't explicitly ask for additional stop pay, but a few days ago, I delivered to a Home Depot, and they changed the delivery location on me. They said, we don't actually want you to deliver it here. We want you to deliver it to a drop yard that we have in another town about 7 or 8 miles away. I was like, okay. And instead of a live unload, we want you to do a drop and hook. I'm like, okay. So I went there and did that, what they told me to do. I don't argue with shippers and receivers. I bitch and complain and argue with the company I work for, the driver managers. They're the ones that deal with, all of my issues. So I sent a message to the after hours and weekend driver managers, because this was Sunday at like 8 a.m. And sent a message and said, hey, they're changing the delivery location on me. They're having me deliver to this address. And they're having me do a drop and hook instead of a live unload. And that person said, okay, I'll send your driver manager and the account manager a message. So I was like, okay, they'll get my stop pay taken care of. Additional stop pay. And then I picked up a load going to Houston, didn't have any issues on that load. And then I picked up a load from Houston going to, Dollar General. And the Dollar General did the same thing to me. They wanted me to deliver it, like I said, over to a warehouse on the other side of town instead of the address that I was contracted to deliver. So I sent a message last night, and I said I'm getting sick and tired of these shippers and receivers having me deliver to different addresses than what I'm, supposed to be delivering. I said I want additional stop pay on these 2 loads, and I put the load numbers in. I didn't get any response from after hours and weekends on that. So today, before I walked over there and checked in, I sent a message to my driver manager, and I said, hey, did after hours and weekends send you any messages about extra stop pay on those 2 loads? And she said no. She said, give me the load numbers. I said, did they I also mentioned in the message that they had me deliver to different addresses. So she said, no, they didn't. Give me the order numbers and the addresses they had you deliver. So I sent her this. It's completely worthless. Like, after hours and weekends are so worthless. I hate having to engage multiple times on the same issue. Like, I have so much shit that I have to do, and then having to message or call 2 or 3 times to get something taken care of with USA Truck, because after hours and weekend is just fucking incompetent people. It's so annoying. Sorry about the ranting. I'm really irritated because this is an ongoing issue. It's been like this since day one with USA Truck. After hours and weekend dispatch is just worthless. I haven't gotten a reply back from her yet on that, on getting the stop pay, additional stop pay. It's only $30. But the reason that I push the issue is to get these assholes to stop doing this shit. If you want me to deliver it over to the warehouse over at this address, then that's the address you contract me for. I don't arrive at a delivery location, an address I'm contracted to deliver to, and then all of a sudden you're just like, nah, we'd prefer that you shuttle this over to another location because we're kind of full here. That's not the way shit works. If they want this freight shuttled over to an overflow warehouse or something on the other side of town, then they need to have their shuttle driver do that. They can unload it out of my truck, and I can go about my business, and then they can deal with whatever they need to deal with. It just kind of ticks me off, because imagine if I would have showed up there completely out of hours. Like, luckily, I haven't had any issues with my hours of service on either of these things that they've had me do these last couple of loads. But like that kind of stuff right there, that can just ruin your whole schedule. Like, it could mess up your next pickup appointment. You may not have the hours to drive it across town. There's just a lot of things. But JCG is like pimp riding around at 5 miles an hour. He's trying not to start his clock. Um, but anyway, she's looking into that right now, getting me the additional stop pay. And what I wanted to say on that is everyone should always put in for all the additional pay that they should be getting. I know that the stop pay at USA Truck isn't even worth requesting, and they don't give it to you unless you like demand and request it. Like they don't just like give you extra stop pay or detention pay or anything like that. You have to tell them to give you that pay. And you have to jump through some hoops, so you might have to contact them 3 or 4 times to get that pay. That's been my experience, is that you have to kind of harass them to get that pay. But do that. Otherwise, these shippers and receivers, they're going to keep taking advantage of us. And they're going to be like, well, I have them, go over there to the other warehouse all the time. And they're going to tell the next guard that. And they're going to tell the next shipping and receiving clerk that. And they'll be like, well, okay, yeah, just have them all delivered here, and then we will direct them out to whichever warehouse we want them to go to whenever they get here. That'll just become their new way of operating. If we don't charge them the stop pay and all the rest of the stuff, then they're going to keep doing it, and it's going to get worse. So even though the stop pay and the detention pay and all that stuff at USA Truck sucks, $15 an hour detention pay, maximum 5 hours. So if they want to detain you for like 3 days, you only get $85 for that. That is one of the many reasons that USA Truck, I don't have any long-term plans here. But anyway, I put in for all that extra pay, not because of the money, because the money is crap. The $30 isn't even worth requesting. But it's to get a record of this to stop these behaviors. Because I would rather just not do the additional stop. Like, if this was listed as like a 3 or 4 stop load, I wouldn't have picked it up. Because the stop pay at USA Truck it's not worth doing additional stops. But anyway, enough of that. I also had an issue of I did not get paid fuel surcharge on one of my loads. And it wasn't a lot of money because it was a short run. It was only 184 miles. But it didn't show up on my check. So I messaged the driver manager. I was like, I just looked at my settlement, and it does not have fuel surcharge on there for this load. And I put in the load number. And she replied back. That was the message that I was just looking at. She said that it's $26 and some change. And she said that it may have rolled over to the next paycheck, but I am going to receive that money. It's BTF, breakthrough fuel. So the company that we're hauling freight for, they calculate up the fuel surcharge after the load is completed. I can't remember when I turned in that 184 mile load. That was the load, I think, going from West Virginia to it was going from Parsons, West Virginia to Zanesville, Ohio. And I delivered that Zanesville load. I can't remember when I delivered that Zanesville load. I thought it was on like a Thursday. It might have been a Friday. But they should have plenty of time to yeah, I delivered it on Friday because I picked up the McCalla load. I went back to Parsons to pick up the McCalla load after this load delivered at like 6 a.m. Friday morning, and it might have been Saturday morning. But it was the same day. I delivered, and then I went back to Parsons and picked up another load out of there at like noon. But she said that I'm going to get paid for it. But the Clorox might not have calculated and sent over the fuel surcharge until after the pay week ended. So it's basically rolled over into next week's paycheck. So let's look at some loads, see what the market's doing. Let's look at Los Angeles. That's always a good barometer. 250 miles, and we only want to see stuff over $1,000 because they have a bunch of short like runs that are like 5 miles and 20 miles and stuff. Well, not all the time because it's very sporadic over on the west, but let's see, 3,000, 3,000. Here's $5,500. Oh, going to Washington. Who the hell wants to go to Washington? That thing is paying $5 a mile to go 1,100 miles. $5,500 to go 1,200 miles. That's a pretty good run. If that were going east, that would be an absolutely phenomenal run. A $5 and $6 a mile runs are typically shorter runs. 500 miles or less is typically the only place you're going to see $5 or $6 a mile runs. Whenever you get over 500 miles on a run, it's very rare to see over, $5 a mile or more. So a $5 a mile load that's 1,200 miles, that is a phenomenal load. Let me throw this into, I'm not going to switch you over to the spreadsheet, but let me throw it into the spreadsheet real quick just to there we go. Just to be able to tell what it is. So that load pays $3,700, $3,693. $3,700 is how much I would make on that load. And it pays me $3.12 a mile. That's how much I would make on the load, is $3.12 a mile. So that is a phenomenal load, but I'm going to tell you right now, Washington kind of sucks on USA Trucks load board. We'll take a look at Kent, Washington here in a second. So Redlands to Salt Lake, still paying about the same as they've always been paying. There's a bunch of these loads up. Three of these loads, Redlands to Salt Lake. There are not any St. George loads listed. Oh, here's another really good load. It's only 400 miles going over to Prescott, Arizona. $2,000 for 400 miles. That's $5 a mile. So you can just hop over there, and you're probably going to have to deadhead back to Redlands or the Fontana area to get another load. But if you're just like sitting there and you can't find a load and you're just waiting on some really good big load going out east, then you can snag up one of these short little runs of like 300 or 400 miles that's paying $2 or $3 grand. Ideally, the St. George, Utah would be the one that I would want to do, because that one pays about $3,000 and it's around 400 miles. And I could just run out, deliver that, and then come back, and hopefully a good load will be back on the board by the time I made it back to the Fontana area. So if you get out in California, that's what I would do. And you'll sometimes also see loads headed up to Tracy, California, that are paying $3, $4, $5 a mile. And you can get loads out of Tracy coming back down to Southern California. So while you're waiting on that big unicorn load headed east, you could be running around in Southern California making some money. So yeah, look at this crap. Kent, Washington. There are so many loads going to Kent, Washington, and there's only this one load that's paying really well. All the rest of them are kind of paying complete shit. Who's this one? This one is West Coast Mixing Center. It's hazmat. Why the hell do these sons of bitches not click on hazmat? You know why they do this? Because hazmat is a filter option, and if you choose don't show me any hazmat loads, this load won't show up. But because they marked it hazmat no, it's going to show up even if you choose not to show hazmat loads. Cannot deliver more than 15 minutes early to Dollar General. That is some stupid shit. 15 minutes early? Like, alright, I'm just going to park in your fucking driveway until I'm within 15 minutes. That's crazy. I can get delayed 15 minutes at a stoplight. Alright, let's take a look at Kent, Washington. Within 250 miles, anything over $1,000. Everything's kind of crap. Like, this is like really cheap shit. Going from Washington to North Carolina, 3,000 miles, paying $3,800. That is a really, really bad load. Staying in Washington. Here's one going over to Wisconsin, paying $1 a mile. These are really, 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 really crap loads. Here's one going down to Tracy that's paying almost $3 a mile. That is a decent load, but that's picking up in Springfield, Oregon. I'm going to tell you right now, that's a hell of a deadhead. 272-mile deadhead to get down to Springfield, Oregon, grab a load going down to Tracy. Now, Springfield, there's a Clorox distribution center there, and they usually have loads going to San Bernardino. And I would much rather get a San Bernardino load than a Tracy load. But if they're paying about the same price, then hell yeah, I'll take a Tracy and deadhead to San Bernardino. But yeah, the loads out here are pretty crap. Now, the only decent thing what you could do is grab one of these mediocre loads going back down to Southern California. This one's going to Irvine. There's a few Irvine loads. I don't know where Woodland's at. That's got to be Northern California because it's only 451 miles. These Porterville, California, these have to be in Southern California because they're 1,000 miles. These are only 14, 15 mile deadheads, but they pay $1 a mile. I would deadhead a little bit further to get something that paid a lot better than that. So yeah, up there in Washington and Oregon right now, the loads are really crap. So let's look to see what's coming out of Oklahoma City where I live. Give it a moment. There we go. Oh wow, I still got it set on 250 miles. I was like, Rogers, Arkansas. Let's go 100 miles. Actually, before we refresh the page, let's just look and see if there's any like really amazing loads, because this should be picking up like Roanoke. There's a Clorox DC in Roanoke. Ooh, Jinx, Oklahoma and Hammond, Louisiana, paying $4 a mile. That cannot be a Kimberly-Clark load, because Kimberly-Clark does not pay that well. It is a Kimberly-Clark going to CNS Wholesale Grocers. What the hell? Why is Kimberly-Clark... Oh. Maybe this is disaster relief stuff. Maybe that's the reason it's paying so well. Because Kimberly-Clark, pretty much everything is $2 a mile coming out of Jinx. And that one's paying twice that. It's paying $4 a mile. And just a minute here. Yeah, here's Jinx going to Michigan, $2 a mile. Dallas to Omaha, Nebraska. Well, shit, if they're gonna pay me that much to go down to Louisiana, then I'm not gonna deadhead all the way to Dallas to pick up a load paying exactly the same amount. And these jackasses are paying breakthrough fuel instead of real fuel surcharge. Muskogee, Oklahoma. We have a Georgia Pacific in Muskogee, but they're dedicated. No, that's Owens International. I was like, is Georgia Pacific pushing so much freight that they're putting it onto the load board? That's not a very good load. $3 a mile out of the Clorox distribution center. Yeah, the loads are kind of crap right now. There's a couple of decent loads on here. This Dallas to Omaha, Nebraska, that's a pretty decent load. Omaha is not too terribly far away from the Kansas City market, but expect like a 200-mile deadhead to get a load if you take this one. And that's, not including whatever deadhead you have to do to pick it up. But this Hammond, Louisiana load is a really awesome load. It seems like they're really desperate to move it. Let's see where Hammond, Louisiana is at. It's probably right on the damn coast. My internet is really bad right here where I'm at, out in the country. So it's taking forever to load. Yeah, it's on I-12 right there at the this little bay. So pretty damn close to the coast. Just a second. Alright, and it's recording again. So, yeah, I'm guessing that they're just desperate to get that load there. Because what happens is they'll put these loads up at whatever price it is that they want to pay. And if nobody picks the load up by the time that the... hold on just a minute. Hello? Yes. Alright, I'll be there in just a minute. Thanks. Bye. Oh, we're still recording? They just called me to tell me that they're ready to load me now. It's only 1 p.m. It's 12:52 p.m. So this is like 7 hours early. So I'm going to pause, and then I'll record again once I bump the dock. Well, they switched it to a drop-in hook, so I don't have time to finish the video, and it's raining outside. I'm soaking wet. I'm at their exit right now, and I need to do all of my macros to drop the trailer, hook up the next trailer, send in my bills and all that crap. So thanks for watching. Have a good one. I might make a driving video. Anyway, bye.